Hi everyone, and thank you so much for watching my channel, The Witty Turtle. In the last video of PGBP, we had already completed up to section 31, and in today's video, we are going to start with section 32, which covers the topic depreciation, right? So now, what are the conditions for charging depreciation? The first condition is that the asset must be owned by the SSE. It must be owned by the SSE. And what is the second condition? The asset must be used फॉर बिजनेस और प्रोफेशन, राइट? दो कंडीशंस है, ओनरशिप होना चाहिए एंड बिजनेस या प्रोफेशन के लिए वो यूज होना चाहिए. नाउ इफ वी गो इन टू मोर डिटेल्स, देन when it comes to ownership, it can either be actual ownership or that particular person can be beneficial owner as well, right? वो full owner भी हो सकता है and वो part owner भी हो सकता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल यहाँ पे हम लोग एग्जाम्पल ले सकते हैं हायर परचेज वाले केस का. What happens in hire purchase? That you don't own the asset, but right from the very beginning you are being benefited by that particular asset, right? Because the ownership transfers only when you pay the last installment in case of hire purchase. But when it comes to charging depreciation under PGBP, so hire purchase के केस में क्या होता है? The depreciation can be claimed right from the very beginning, right? Similarly, in case of lease, the depreciation is always claimed by the lessor, whether it is financing lease or it is operating lease. Understood? Now, when I'm saying the asset is being used for business or profession, for the purpose of business or profession only, so this means what? There can be active usage or there can be passive usage also. Active usage क्या होता है? For example, ये पेन एक asset है, तो मैं इसको पूरा रखी हूँ and I'm using this particular pen to prepare my notes, right? Similarly, I have another pen which I'm keeping as standby so that in case of emergency I'll use it, but I am still not using it. It is put to use and this is ready to use. Even though it is ready to use, but in certain cases passive usage can also be claimed under depreciation. इसका क्या एग्जाम्पल हो सकता है? You must have seen fire extinguishers, right? Fire extinguishers, we do not use them every day, right? They are kept in case of so that in case of emergency you can use them. But in case of fire extinguishers or in case of anything which has a passive usage, you can claim depreciation for that particular thing. Now, another point is here that in case of certain standby machineries and emergency spares, for example, ये एक machine है and ये उसका एक spare part है, right? This particular spare part is not necessarily used everywhere with this particular pen, but it can be used if needed. So in that case also ये भी क्या हो गया? ये भी आपका passive use हो गया. So in that case also आपका depreciation इस spare part के लिए भी claim हो सकता है, right? So हम लोगों ने क्या पढ़ा? There are only two conditions for charging depreciation. The first is there must be ownership, and the second one is the asset must be used for the purpose of business or profession. Now, depreciation, where do you get depreciation, right? So there are again two cases when the asset is a tangible one. Tangible asset के case में you get depreciation for three things: buildings, plant and machineries, and lastly furnitures. Building, plant and machinery, and lastly furniture. एंड व्हेन इट कम्स टू इनटैंजिबल एसेट, उसमें क्या क्या आता है? नो हाउ आता है, पेटेंट आता है, कॉपीराइट आता है, लाइसेंसिंग आता है, ट्रेडमार्क्स आते हैं, देन योर फ्रेंचाइजी बिजनेसेस आते हैं, और एनी काइंड ऑफ राइट विच इंक्लूड्स सम काइंड ऑफ कॉमर्शियल बिजनेस, राइट? बट जो यहाँ पर अमेंडमेंट आया हुआ है, द वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट अमेंडमेंट इन दिस केस इज goodwill does not come under intangible under the list of intangible assets when you are charging depreciation under PGBP, right? Goodwill नहीं आएगा. Copyright, patent, trademark, licensing, franchisee, any other any know-how, any patent, all these things come under intangible asset, but goodwill does not fall under this particular category, right? This is very important. Now, the asset must be wholly or partly owned by the business. Obviously, we studied that now. It is used for the purpose of business or profession, right? Active or passive. Also we read that now. And depreciation shall be allowed on WDV method, that is your written down value method. Written down value method, और वो आपको किस पे मिलेगा? That method will be charged on your block of assets. What is the meaning of block of assets? We will further understand that. And obviously depreciation will be claimed at a prescribed percentage. फॉर एग्जाम्पल कंप्यूटर के लिए 40% लगता है, ठीक है, बट वहीं पे मोबाइल फोन्स के लिए 15% लगता है. सो ऑल दीज रेट्स आर गिवन इन योर इनकम टैक्स एक्ट, एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू दोज रेट्स ओनली यू कैन चार्ज depreciation. Now, here we heard a phrase, that is block of assets. What do you mean by block of assets? So यहाँ पे अभी हम ये पढ़ेंगे. There are certain classes of assets. Okay, there are certain classes of assets. So इन्हीं classes पे ही आपको depreciation मिलेगा. You can claim depreciation only on these classes of assets. So if you divide them into two sections, the first one is your tangible assets and the second one is your intangible assets. Okay, so tangible assets के under again it is divided into three categories. The first one is building, the second one is furniture, and the third one is plant and machineries. And intangible is intangible. So building is your block 1, furniture is your block 2, and plant and machinery is your block 3, or you can say class 3. Class 1, class 2, class 3, and intangible asset is your class 4, right? So this is all about your class of assets. Now coming to the definition of plant under section 43 clause 3. So plant में क्या क्या included है? Plant में जितने भी kinds of plant आप देखते हो, all the kinds of plants are included except tea bushes and your livestock or buildings or furnitures or fittings, right? What all things you need to exclude? Tea bushes, livestock, buildings, and furniture and fittings, right? All these four things. टी बुशेस, लाइवस्टॉक, लाइवस्टॉक मतलब जो जिंदा एनिमल्स होते हैं, टी बुशेस, लाइवस्टॉक, बिल्डिंग्स एंड furniture and fittings, right? Four things. Except these four things, everything is your plant and machinery, right? So section 43 clause 3 defines plant to include ships, जहाज जो होता है, ships, vehicles, books, scientific apparatus, and surgical equipments which are used for the purposes of business or profession, but does not include all these four things. Now coming to what is the meaning of buildings? So specially designed buildings such as hospitals, cinema halls, theaters, they will not be treated as plant and machinery, but they will be treated as your building. This is a common sense. Now जैसे यहाँ पे हुआ कि स्पेशली डिजाइंड बिल्डिंग्स लाइक हॉस्पिटल, सिनेमा हॉल्स एंड all these things come under building, similarly the furnitures and fittings used in these specially designed buildings will not be treated as plant and machinery, but they will be treated as your furnitures and fittings. Similarly, furniture and fittings specially designed for a hotel, cinema hall, hospital shall not be treated as plant and machinery, but it shall be treated as furniture and fittings.